The Connecticut Radio Information System, or CRIS, broadcasts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, keeps the blind and print-challenged population informed about the world, the nation, Connecticut, and their local communities. I'm Nathan O'Leary for Comcast Newsmakers at the Kent McCrae Television Studio at the University of Hartford, and Diane Weaver Dunne, Executive Director of CRIS Radio, joins me. And Diane, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what CRIS Radio is and where it can be heard?
Sure. Well, Connecticut Radio Information System is the legal name for CRIS Radio, and we can be heard statewide, but actually we can be heard throughout the world because we now stream live on the internet. So,
now, CRIS serves people who are blind or print disabled, and I think that term may not be familiar to some people.
Sure.
Can you explain what print disabled means?
Yeah, sure. So print disabled is for any reason that you cannot read printed text. CRIS Radio provides audio versions of that information. So if you, let's say you have Parkinson's disease, a physical disability, an emotional disability, an intellectual disability, a learning disability, CRIS Radio brings words to life for people with audio versions, all with human narration though.
Excellent, which is unique because a lot of these other programs are computer voices.
That's exactly right. And in fact, our programs, we have about 300 volunteers who come into our studios and they record children's magazines, about 50 general newspapers and magazines, let's say Wall Street Journal, New York Times, National Geographic, People magazine, whatever, you know, folks like to hear. So we record those and we provide them streaming on the radio and also on demand. So if people just want to say, I only want to hear National Geographic or the New York Times today, they can just go online and click that and that's what they get.
Excellent. And what are some other pilot programs that you have? Well,
one pilot program that we've launched is called CRIS Kids for Schools. And so we started that about 2 years ago. And actually educators came to us and they said to us, well, look, we love the CRIS Kids magazines. And in fact, we are the only ones in the nation providing audio versions with human narration of the magazines. But they said, why not do custom recordings for the teachers? So let's say a kid has to pass a test on Betsy Ross, let's say, or the Constitution, something like that. Why don't you record that for the teachers? So we started doing that, and that became very popular. Then another teacher came to us and said, why don't you record the Common Core state standards? So we're like, okay, so now CRIS Radio has an extensive audio library, all with human narration for the students.
And 300 volunteers.
With 300 volunteers and 4 full-time staff.
Now, CRIS also provides internet radio streaming to some of Connecticut's assisted living facilities, and most recently Hartford's Connecticut Children's Medical Center.
Correct.
How did that connection come about?
The Connecticut Children's Medical Center actually is thanks to Comcast. We collaborated with Comcast and they provided technical expertise and also some of the equipment necessary to go into the in-house system at the Connecticut Children's Medical Center. So now we stream 20 children's magazines, one stream for younger kids, one stream for older secondary ed kids. And what we do is we stream to each patient room through their TV. So now they have an alternative as they're a patient. And we also consider some kids, they might be medically fragile and unable to read because of their treatment.
Now, the backbone of your organization is, of course, the 300 volunteers. How can people, if they want to reach out to you, volunteer?
Right. They can go to crisradio.org. They can download the application, or they can call us at 860-527-8000.
Diane Weaver Dunne, Executive Director of CRIS Radio, thank you.
And thank you so much for letting me share information about CRIS Radio.
And thank you for joining us here for Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Nathan O'Leary.